When the atheist scientist met the Quran, an unexpected interfaith dialogue that changed everything. If you're someone who trusts science but feel there might be more meaning, more awe, more mystery, then you're in the right place. Watch how one scientist's journey took him from doubt to discovery, from atheism to awe. Stay tuned till the end, because sometimes the greatest experiments aren't in the lab, they're in the heart. Dr. Adrian Morton was a brilliant astrophysicist. In his London laboratory, surrounded by high-powered telescopes and supercomputer simulations of the early universe, he had made a name for himself as an outspoken atheist. He believed that faith was little more than superstition, and any claim of miracle must bow to scientific scrutiny. When his friend invited him to a lecture in Dubai by a Muslim scholar on the scientific miracles in the Quran, Adrian accepted only with mild amusement. "I'll go, but I expect to find more metaphor than substance," he said. The lecture was held in a tall, gleaming conference hall, the canvas of numbers and verses projected onto a large screen. The speaker, Dr. Sarah Rahman, introduced the idea that the Quran contains statements which modern science has only recently uncovered. She cited verses such as, "Have those who disbelieved not considered that the heavens and the earth were a joined entity? Then we separated them." Quran 21:30. She explained how this aligns with the modern Big Bang theory, that the universe once was in a joined entity and is now expanding. QuranProject.org +3, The Muslim Vibe +3, Rational Religion +3. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Joined entity? That's poetic. And the Big Bang theory was developed over a century ago. He raised his hand. "Dr. Rahman, you're linking ancient text to physics. Don't you think that's retrospective interpretation? That's not proof." Sarah nodded calmly. "Your skepticism is healthy in science, Dr. Morton. But look at the verse in Surah Atheist 51:47, "In the heaven we constructed with strength, and indeed, we are its expander." That is a claim of expansion. Modern cosmology confirms our universe is expanding. The Muslim Vibe. Adrian frowned. He knew that Edwin Hubble in 1929 discovered the universe was expanding. He knew Stephen Hawking later described dark energy causing acceleration. So he asked, but expanding since when? And how precise is this wording? Aren't we reading modern science in ancient metaphors? Sarah responded with gentleness. "I don't ask you to accept uncritically. Consider the convergence of many such statements in the Quran. Water as the source of life. Mountains as pegs stabilizing the earth. Seas that meet yet have barriers. The Muslim Vibe +1. Adrian's heart pounded. He had read theological apologetic before and found them flimsy. But something about the calm confidence of Sarah, the precise references, made him uneasy. He asked for data. "Give me peer-reviewed research. Give me rigorous science, not just online lists." After the lecture, Sarah handed him an article, Review about Scientific Miracles of Quran Part 1, in Astronomy and Earth Sciences. The paper argued that the Quran contains scientific challenging signals that have been only realized in the last few decades. El Saba. ResearchGate Adrian took the PDF home. Over the next few nights, Adrian lay awake reading. He expected to debunk, but found himself unsettled. For example, the study listed verses about the heavens and earth, the mountains, matter and motion that parallel modern geology and cosmology. He still found the language poetic, but the specificity surprised him. Then something shifted. He invited Sarah to his lab to discuss neutrinos, the ghost particles that pass through matter. During the demonstration, they spoke about the Quranic verse, "And we made from water every living thing." Quran 21:30. Sarah explained how water constitutes a large fraction of a human body and cells and is central in life forms. Modern biology confirms that. The Muslim Vibe +1. Adrian's mind raced. He knew the fact that life is water-based, but connecting a 7th century verse to that seemed improbable. He asked Sarah, could this just be coincidence, or broad enough wording to fit many things? Sarah shrugged. Yes, broad wording could, but the accumulation of many such verses, each hinting at modern science, invites reflection. That evening, Adrian walked alone on his rooftop in London. The stars glowed above. He felt a stirring, a tingle of doubt. He had always scorned religion for lack of empirical evidence. But he wondered, can I maintain absolute certainty that faith has no basis? He remembered the article's caution that some of this research is contested. zygonjournal.org+1. The next month, he traveled with Sarah to a desert site in Arabia, near ancient rock formations. Sarah explained how the Quran describes mountains as stakes, Surah 78:6-7, suggesting deeper roots or structural stabilizers beneath. The Muslim vibe +1. Adrian studied geophysical maps. Indeed, mountains have deep roots in the lithosphere like pegs. He still questioned, is this metaphor or literal? Then he took Sarah's challenge. He would publish a paper critically in a secular journal. He spent weeks analyzing verses, data, and matched them with peer-reviewed geology, astrophysics, and embryology. He concluded his draft. While the text of the Quran is not a scientific treatise, the convergence of multiple verses with modern findings merits deeper study. At the press of the send button, he felt thrill and terror. Colleagues raised eyebrows. Why the religion sidetrack, some said. He replied, science seeks truth wherever it lies. Meanwhile, his skepticism softened. He realized his atheism was more dogmatic than he liked to admit. Back in Dubai, Sarah invited him to an interfaith roundtable. There he listened to a Christian theologian, a Jewish rabbi, a Hindu philosopher, and a devout Muslim engineer named Munira. The atheist scientist heard stories. Munira described how, during the Hajj, millions squeeze into the sacred precincts of Mecca, yet there have been minimal casualties, efficient crowd flow, and a kind of collective order that defies random chaos. Adrian thought, that's sociology, not physics, but the emotional impact was undeniable. The conversation turned to an intensely personal question. Why do you believe when you have nothing but faith? Munira answered quietly, because I have seen signs in nature, in my life, in my introspection. Science helps me understand. Faith helps me meaning-making. Adrian admitted, I have never thought about meaning. I measured the cosmos, but I never felt I belonged to it. Many weeks passed. Adrian's relationship with Sarah deepened into respectful friendship. One evening, over coffee, Sarah shared how she used to be a mathematician who lost faith after her father's death, and how the study of Quranic miracles helped her reconnect. She said, miracles are not necessarily breaking natural laws. They can be signs that challenge our horizon of understanding. One vivid night, the two were visiting an observatory in the desert, telescope pointed at the sky. Adrian scanned a nebula photograph. He said, when I look at the vastness, the fine-tuned constants of physics, the improbability of life, I feel a whisper of wonder. For years I suppressed it. Somehow, your perspective reopened it. Sarah smiled. In Arabic, the word for miracle, mu'jiza, originally means something that makes the unreasonable reasonable. It invites reflection. Monday morning, Adrian entered his lab. The hum of servers, the blink of sensors. He paused, looked at his reflection in the glass. He asked himself, am I prepared to lift the lid on probability, contingency, significance? Science gave me walls. Faith may open windows. His paper was accepted, with revisions, for publication in a science and religion journal. In the peer review process, he was forced to sharpen his claims, qualify his findings, and face skeptical reviewers. Is this genuine science or apologetic in disguise? He was asked. He responded, I treat this as exploratory. A scientist acknowledges uncertainty. I stand by the data. Welcome critique. Then something unexpected happened. A young physics student in Pakistan reached out to Adrian after reading the paper. Your article made me question atheism, the student wrote. I cried reading how you came here from disbelief. Adrian was moved. He realized his words had changed someone's path. Meanwhile, in his private moments, Adrian found himself reciting a verse Sarah had shown him many times. So which of the favors of your Lord would you deny? Quran 55:13. He whispered. I'm beginning to believe that question is not rhetorical for me. The words echoing amidst lab machines. The climax came when Adrian stood at a conference hall in Berlin before a mixed audience: scientists, theologians, skeptics. He spoke without hiding his journey. I still value empirical evidence, but I also accept that not every truth can yet be quantified. When multiple lines of inquiry, cosmology, geology, embryology, languages converge on statements in the Quran, I believe that invites scientific humility. I don't have to become a zealot, but I can become an inquirer with wonder. A long silence. Then applause. A leading atheist philosopher came up and said, "Your transformation is genuine, Dr. Morton. Even if I disagree with your conclusions, your humility is striking." Adrian accepted the handshake, his eyes moist. At the end of his talk, he went back to Sarah in the wings. She whispered, "Are you ready?" Adrian nodded softly. He declared publicly, "I cannot yet affirm faith as my full journey, but I cannot deny the signs I have seen." For any scientist, that is a landscape worth exploring. Their walk back through the night-lit city was quiet. Adrian looked at the stars. He said, "I used to think the universe was nothing but random particles. Now I sense purpose. I still ask questions. I still test models. But I also feel awe." Sarah squeezed his hand and said, "Is the birthplace of faith." In the months that followed, Adrian kept researching. Sometimes he still found counter-arguments. The debate about scientific miracles in the Quran is contested. muslimseekers.com +1, but he had changed. He no longer saw faith and science as enemies. He saw them as partners in the search for truth. And sometimes, late at night, a thought would return. What if the universe is the canvas of a greater artist, and science simply tracks the brushstrokes? One dawn, Adrian came into his lab, and instead of immediately firing up the machines, he opened the Quran Sarah had given him, touched the cover gently, and read a verse. "And he it is who has made the night and the day in succession for whoever desires to remember or desires gratitude." Quran 25:62. He reflected. He had spent nights chasing light photons. Now he would chase meaning. The story of the atheist scientist who challenged Islamic miracles did not end with him converting to faith, though that day may come. Instead, it ended with him changing from closed-minded skeptic to humble explorer. And in that subtle but profound shift lies the miracle. As the sun rose and illuminated his workspace, Adrian whispered, "So which of the favors of your Lord would I deny?" If this story moved you, hit the like button, share this with a friend who's searching for answers. Subscribe for more stories where faith, science, and human hearts collide. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next journey. Comment below, what question do you want answered? Science, faith, or both? Let's explore together.